Today, we're really going to get into something powerful. It's all about, well, how to actually pursue your dreams and grab hold of opportunities. We're looking at a fascinating source today, a Malayalam motivational speech, actually. And we want to pull out the universal truths hiding in there, the things that stop us,
I'm buried.
the barriers.
The source might be specific, but the message, it's for everyone. Our goal here is to break down its key ideas, really understand why just waiting around doesn't work, and hopefully give you some tools, some ways to actually spark the change you're looking for in your life.
Right. So let me just ask you, listening right now, do you ever get that feeling? That feeling of, is this it? This life? It's not quite enough. That yearning for a real shift, but you just can't seem to get the engine started? If that's like you, well, stick around. This is definitely for you. Let's dig in.
Okay, so the speaker in our source material, they make this really bold claim right off the bat. They say, you can change your life, and not over years, but maybe in just like 1 to 3 months, if you're focused. That time frame,
Yeah.
it sounds almost too good to be true, doesn't it? Why is that so hard for us to buy into?
Well, it really pushes against how we usually think about big changes. We expect it to be this long, slow grind. But the speech argues it's more about reaching a certain point of focused action, like critical mass. And the speaker points out the absolute hardest part, it's just starting. Getting over that initial hump. Once you do that, once you build a little momentum, suddenly it feels possible, maybe even inevitable. Yeah, that initial push. And then there's this other point they make that really makes you stop and think about time. They warn that every moment, every day you spend just doing nothing, idling, you're losing potentially a million opportunities. That's a stark way to put it. It forces you to rethink things, right?
Yeah.
We often say, oh, there are no opportunities, but this suggests they're everywhere if we just,
If we just start to look around, yeah, and stepping back a bit, there's this common thing people do often without even realizing it. They're kind of waiting for a savior almost, someone to swoop in and fix everything or hand them their dream job or whatever it is.
Right, like a magic solution will just appear.
Exactly. But the speech is very direct, very blunt about this. It says, no one will come into your life like that. Nobody's going to just deliver your dreams to your doorstep. The message is clear. We have to step out. We have to search. It's on us.
That reminds me so much of what Saurav Ganguly, the cricketer, said. Something like, everything in life is about standing up and making the most of your opportunities. It really hammers home that you have to be the active one. But okay, it sounds simple. Stand up and look around. Why is that simple act so difficult for so many of us? What stops us?
It's a paradox, isn't it? The speech kind of touches on this. It's often not even about not seeing the opportunities. It's more like we're not even willing to make that first move, to stand up and look. There's this ingrained passivity sometimes. We hope things will just happen to us, instead of realizing that opportunity often comes from actively looking, connecting, trying things out. It's about switching from waiting to seeking.
Okay, so inaction costs us opportunities, and waiting for someone else is a dead end. Got it. But even knowing that, there's still something holding us back, right? Often it's internal stuff. Let's talk about that big one, the fear of judgment, that voice. What will people think if I try this new thing, if I fail? How does the speech help us deal with that?
Oh, that's a huge one. And the insight here is actually really freeing. It basically says, look, nobody else can see your dream through your eyes. They haven't walked your path. So their judgment, it's based on their perspective, not yours. The first step is to kind of detach your own sense of worth from what others might think or say. Let others think whatever they want, the speech advises. Because ultimately, win or lose, you only have to answer to yourself.
Decoupling your self-worth from external opinions. That's powerful. Okay, so let's say you manage to quiet that noise a bit. Then another doubt creeps in, right? Is this the right path? Doubt. Is this really my field? Should I be doing this? People get so stuck debating the options. How do we get past that analysis paralysis?
Yeah, the endless debating. What's fascinating is the advice is almost deceptively simple. It's basically, you'll never really know for sure until you just try it out. Think about it, life's biggest lessons. They usually come from doing, from experimenting, not just thinking. Each attempt, even if it doesn't work out perfectly, gives you feedback. Real-world data, not just theories in your head.
Right, you learn by doing, not just by thinking about doing. Makes sense, but that naturally leads to the next big fear, the one that really stops people cold. But what if I fail? Intellectually, we might know failure is part of learning, but emotionally, it feels awful. It feels like the end.
It does, yeah. Failure stings. But the speech flips this fear around in a really interesting way. It argues that while failure brings disappointment, sure, there's a bigger loss. the loss of self-respect, the loss of dignity that comes from not even trying. Because even when you fail, you gain something. You learn, you grow stronger, you get clearer on what doesn't work. The real tragedy, the speech suggests, is looking back with regret, wondering what if. It emphasizes that our greatest human ability isn't just dreaming, it's making decisions and actually working for those dreams.
Wow. So the real failure is the failure to try. That reframes it completely. And it's true, isn't it? The path ahead is always uncertain, kind of dark ahead, as the source says. Nobody has a crystal ball. Everyone who achieves anything significant is essentially taking a leap based on conviction or faith.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And building on that, maybe a key part of taking action is learning to fail better. Increasing your power to fail, as the speech puts it. Becoming more okay with setbacks. Seeing them as data points, not dead ends. You know, Jim Carrey talked about this too. He said something like, life opens up opportunities. You either take them or you stay afraid of taking them.
Ah, yeah. It frames it as a clear choice we make constantly.
Right, it's a choice. And this whole idea that you often have to fail before you succeed, that really flies in the face of our desire for instant results, doesn't it?
It really does. We want success now, first try.
But that's rarely how it works.
Yeah.
Success is usually built on a pile of attempts of failures you learn from.
And I love that quote from Madam C.J. Walker, too. Don't sit down and wait for opportunities to come. Get up and make them. It really drives home that proactive stance. Don't just look for opportunities, create them. So for someone listening, feeling inspired but maybe a bit overwhelmed, what's a simple, concrete first step to making an opportunity?
Well, one thing the speech hints at is surprisingly simple. Don't be afraid to ask. Seriously. Reach out to people. Message someone whose journey interests you. Ask how they started their business, how they learned that skill. You'd be surprised how many people are willing to share their story or offer advice if you just ask respectfully. Like the speech says, there is always opportunity around you. But sometimes you need to initiate the conversation to uncover it. It's about tapping into the knowledge and networks already out there.
Just asking. Sometimes the simplest things are the hardest, but yeah, that makes sense. So, wrapping this up, what we've really uncovered in this deep dive is that changing your life isn't about waiting. It's not about finding perfect conditions or getting everyone's approval. It's much more about tackling those fears inside, getting comfortable with uncertainty, and just taking action consistently, even small steps.
Exactly. And maybe the most powerful thought to leave you with, coming straight from our source material, is this. Yes, failure can hurt. It can be painful. But the ultimate loss, the deeper wound, that's the loss of self-respect and dignity that comes from never trying in the first place. That nagging question, what if I had just tried back then? The only way to answer it is to step out and try now. So the real question is, what will you choose to discover about yourself by taking that leap?